Hey babe, I think I want to quit university and start my own business. And I want to spend $10,000 on this Tony Robbins weekend. What do you think?
My name is Belinda Carusi and welcome to my show. This podcast was born through my obsession of business, personal development, and my deep desire to living an extraordinary life. I am a small town mama who took used car tires to start my first outdoor boot camp and grew it into a multiple six-figure fitness empire. And now I work from home helping business owners create the business of their dreams. I will take you on an adventure that will open your mind and your heart and truly help you believe in yourself to just do the thing you were born to do. Like I would say in my boot camps, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Welcome to the Belinda Carusi Show.
Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to my show. I'm so excited to welcome you onto the Belinda Carusi podcast. This has been so many years in the making. I can't even tell you. I have been wanting to do podcasts before podcasts were even a thing. I remember listening to podcasts in between my boot camps in probably 2012. So it's been something I've wanted to do for a very long time. It's been something that people have always said to me, Belinda, you've got to do a podcast. So here I am doing the podcast, and I'm absolutely so excited to be doing this because I feel like this is the perfect time in my life to have started this journey, because I don't think I had the confidence back then and the self-assurance that I have now. I've been through a hell of a lot in my 32 years, almost 33 years. My birthday is coming up in a week. Yeah, I've been through so much, and I feel like I've got so much more to give, even more than what I would have had back in the day when I was, really trying to inspire people and help them take the leap to living their best life in their best body. And now I am so passionate about helping people live their best life in their best body and with as much money as humanly possible for you. Because one thing that I do know is that, especially in my journey, that money is so important and so valuable and so incredibly freeing. I believe a great way to make more money, and my kind of vehicle for that is business. So I'm so excited. And it's not just about money. This podcast was born because I'm obsessed with creating my dream life. What's the point if we're not actually creating our dream life? I'm also obsessed with creating things that seem impossible, but you can see other people doing them and you're wondering how do they have it all? This is what I want to create. I want to create a way of being that really helps you break your limiting beliefs. It helps you realize that you can have it all. We may not have it all at once, but we can have it all. Because the question I've always asked myself, and this is part of this podcast in general, is why do some people live a life of pure luxury, purpose, and others just don't? Why do people suffer and why do other people succeed? And when I say succeed, I don't just mean having the good car or the nice house. For me, success is fulfillment in all areas, in your relationships, in your work, in your everyday life, feeling joy, feeling as much love as humanly possible. And this is what this podcast is all about, is that pursuing that success, really helping you really feel into what it is that you really can create. I'm absolutely pumped. My face is sore because I'm smiling so much. What I wanted to do is I wanted to dig into my story, and also the theme of this first podcast is that anyone can have a business. And I'm going to break through some limiting beliefs that you may have as a prerequisite for you to have a business or be successful. And I'm going to share my story along the way so you guys get a big insight with why I started my first business, which was Fem Fitness Hub. But I've had multiple names for my business. Well, I first was a personal trainer. I first called it, my first business name was Busy Bee. My second business name was Viva Fitness. Oh, no, it was My Mobile Trainer. Then it was Viva Fitness. Then it was Belinda Carusi Boot Camps, and it was Belinda Carusi Fitness Hub. Then it was Femme Fitness Hub. So it's gone through 7 names, and I'm going to share with you how it all evolved and how I ended up doing that. I'm also going to be talking to you about how I was able to realize that I wanted a business, and it all was part of me creating the dream life, understanding what it is that I wanted. And then the business idea came from me really kind of understanding what type of life I wanted. And then asking myself the question, is this business that I'm thinking about, is it scalable? Is it got the ability to free me from my everyday life? And then my second point was, will I enjoy it? So I'm going to be talking to you about how you can really find that dream business. And yeah, it's going to be so cool. And also, I'm going to be really diving into my story. A major part of my story is, will your business cover you when you can't be there? And I'm going to go into my story of how I had cancer and a young child at the same time, and how my business actually grew and supported us financially when we had to spend the most amount of money on ourselves we ever had to in such a short amount of time, and how the business was still there operating. And it was from me stepping in my power from the very beginning and saying, I want this lifestyle, I want this business to create this X, Y, and Z, and for a rainy day. So with all of that being said, without further ado, let's get into it. So where did it all start? So basically, I was one of those little girls growing up that always questioned why we didn't have all the things, why we didn't go skiing, why we didn't go and live in those big houses. And if anyone knows Melbourne, the VIP houses in Mont Albert Road, we used to drive through Mont Albert Road to get to our family's house, because before the freeway was put together, my family lived on the other side of Melbourne. So we lived in the Yarra Valley in Melbourne, and my other family lived like in New Tullamarine. So every single time we used to have to drive through these incredible suburbs that had these incredible houses. And I was like, Mum, why don't we have these houses? Why don't we live here? Why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? I was probably a little ungrateful little brat thinking about it, but I just was like, why do we not have all of these incredible things? Like, how come we don't have them? And it's kind of been the theme of my life. Like, why do some people live this way and we don't? And why does my grandparents don't speak English and other people's don't? I always felt like I was this different person. And I always felt like, why don't we have what we have? And always shut down with, well, money doesn't grow on trees. And I think this probably relates to a lot of you guys thinking like, I didn't come from a really rich family. This is just the way that my life is. And I was just inquisitive enough to really ask the question, well, why? Like, why is that the reason? I think because I was constantly pondering that question throughout my entire life. How can I make money? I used to think about creating an Italian restaurant in our house, like, because of my energy and just always wanting, I just started attracting these incredible people into my life that always opened up opportunities for me. And I must say, my real inquisitive nature came from my business class in I think it was year 11 or year 12. And at the time I was working at McDonald's, and really understanding how simple a business can be, especially McDonald's. McDonald's is created, teenagers, like 14-year-olds can run the place. And that really got me thinking. And when I was learning about business at school, I was like, wow, like all of these things are mashing together. I really get it. I've always been a real big problem solver. So that was like, that goes with that goes with that. Oh, I can see how they've done this. I've seen how they've done that. So that business mind really was triggered at that age and that experience in my life. Then fast forward into finishing school. I always wanted to be successful because I grew up realizing that I didn't have as much as everybody else. Like, don't get me wrong, we didn't go without, in a sense. Like, we always had good food. We always went on holidays. We always, did the things, but my mum never bought me the really good runners. Like, she bought me the okay ones, but it was always about the price tag. So after school and realizing that, you can study and you can then get these degrees and then you can go into these courses and work in these corporate jobs. Like, when I was at school, I realized that I wanted to be successful. Like, I was like in 12, I was like, yeah, I want to be wearing a suit to work. I want to be a corporate. I want to climb up the corporate ladder. I want to be successful. I want to earn money. I want to earn my own money. I want to create an epic life. Like, I just had that in me. And I didn't quite get the score that I wanted to get into this course that I wanted, because I wanted to be a sports manager, because I'm a very sporty person, as you could probably tell, running a fitness center and owning a personal training business. But yeah, I thought, okay, I'm going to be a corporate person. I'm going to be really smart, because my whole life I felt really dumb. So I'm going to prove to everyone that I'm really smart and I'm getting paid a lot of money, because everyone's made me feel less than my whole life, and I'm going to show them. That was the energy that I had for a long time. Anyway, so I didn't get the enter score, they called it, at that time to get into the course that I wanted to. So I ended up having a gap year and then going into a TAFE course that was a bridge into the university course that I wanted to. So did a gap year at the Snow, and it was literally the best thing ever. I also went traveling to Asia, and I really just got to know the world a little bit. And I had a few incidences. I broke up with a boyfriend and I was really anxious at the time. I had to make a few really hard decisions. And I was like, if this is the life that I'm living, and this is like, I'm only 18 and it's already this stressful, like, is this the person that I want to be for the rest of my life? Like, I don't want to be riddled with anxiety. I don't want to be riddled with feeling shit about myself. And, if I want to have children in the future, who do I want to show up as a mother? Because as a woman, I don't know if you're the same, if you are a woman, but you have this internal knowing that one day you're going to be a mother. And I was like, well, if I have children one day, is this the person I want to show up as, And I was like, no. On the trip, which kind of broke up me and my ex, I was like, I'm going to make something of my life. I'm going to dedicate, this situation to making my life better. And that's when I started my course as a sports and recreation kind of management course, which then led me into my degree. And while I was doing that, I thought it'd be a really good idea to be a personal trainer, because fitness and health, I was a sprinter at the time, but it really transformed my life. I was riddled with anxiety, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this, being able to help people in their health and fitness would be a dream, because it's helped me so much, and I'd love to support other people, and especially children, to do the same thing. Like, that was my thing. I was like, I have to bring this to more people. And at the time, personal training was getting pumped. It was on every single radio at the time. It was basically government funded, so anyone could become a personal trainer, because it didn't really cost anything to be a personal trainer, because you could just apply for the funding and you got the funding and you could do your course, which is when personal training was pumping. So at 19, I enrolled in a personal training course, and the rest was history. I thought, because we were going to go overseas, and I started working, I was going to get a job at a factory packing boxes for $35 an hour. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'll save up all this money and I'll do my PT course. I'll save up all this money, go traveling, and then be a PT when I get back, when I want to go to uni, and get a real job at, getting a degree that will give me a real job. Because personal training isn't a real job, so I better get a degree. Otherwise, I'm not going to be successful. That was my mindset. I then thought, maybe I'll get a job at a gym and learn how to sell, because if I can't sell, what I was learning in my course was that you needed to know how to sell personal training. So I thought it'd be a good idea to apply for a job at a gym. So I did. And I met my mentor, one of my favorite people of all time. Unfortunately, he's passed away. It makes me teary as we speak. He basically forced me to work for him. I went in just because I had this factory job on the back burner that I could start. And he basically said to me, no, you have to work for me. Like, you're amazing. You're going to be amazing. Like, you have the job. And I was like, I don't know. I think I might take this job. It's more money per hour, and and then I can go overseas. He's like, no, you have the job and you're taking it, basically. And I was like, okay. So I ended up working, if anyone knows Melbourne as well, in Fitzroy, which is the most transient area. It's right in the city. It was the first year of me finishing school in this suburban bloody neighborhood. And I was working as a salesperson. Never done sales before in my entire life. The first month I worked there, I literally got no sales, just got paid the most minimum wage. I didn't get paid on any of the sales, so I had to hit this massive target before I get paid any commission. Welcome to the real world, Belinda, and you've got to make $1, and the only way that you're going to make $1 is if you put yourself out there. And I was so scared, and I literally, like I said, I bombed the first month. Second month, bombed, and then just before I was going to quit my job, we got a new manager, and she taught me how to sell, and the next month, I literally got the best salesperson I think in Australia in general, or the state, I don't know, but this was Good Life when they didn't have that many Good Life gyms. But anyway, with all of that, I realized that, wow, I can make some money as a personal trainer, and this sounds like a cool industry. And that's kind of where it all began. And I thought, let me learn how to sell, and then I'll get a job at the other gym closer to home as a personal trainer. So as soon as I did that, I was the sales queen from that moment. And then I started selling and building up my personal training clientele while I was at uni. Now, I started as a personal trainer, and one of the things I learned, which is I want you to take note on when I first became a personal trainer, you just need to be just that little bit better than the client that you're seeing. And at the time, like, I was a sprinter, I wasn't a weights client. Like, I didn't do weights. Like, I just did sprinting. Literally, my coach would tell us to do weights, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I just did what he told me. And we just ran lap upon lap, 100 upon 100. Like, it was just repetition. It was boring as fuck, but I loved it. I was like, how do I teach a person to do a squat? And I remember my first client, her name was Stacey Fox. I won't never forget it. And I was like, and do a squat. And I was like, she didn't know how to do a squat. And I'm like, I don't know how to do a squat, but I'm trying to teach her how to do a squat. And anyway, I ended up training her for about 6 months and got her some really good results, but it was all just on the job training. And when I first started in the fitness industry, like, I was this teeny bopper. Like, I'm excited now. Could you imagine what I was like at 19, 20? I was like, hectic, and I was so excited to be working, and I was so excited to be helping people, and I was so excited to be making all these sales. I used to brag about, oh my god, I just signed up 10 new clients, and they were all older men, and there was like a couple of women, and they were just like, who the F is this girl? And number one, why would they be training with her? And number two, how is she getting all these sales? And it was the hostility in there was crazy. No one used to say hi to me. And I was just like, what the F is this? Like, and I used to try and tell my manager, like, can you help me? Like, can you train me? And because everyone was paid per client, no one would make any time for me. Why would they make any time for me? Because that time they could put a client in, and I wasn't working for them. So why would they bother supporting me? So I literally had to figure out how I was going to do this while studying at uni. And as I started learning and as I started growing, I started getting some really amazing clients. I'll never forget the client that I had called Effie. Now, Effie was amazing, number one, because she was just so energized like me. She believed that we could have the life that we desired, and she actually helped me. So I started training her daughter, and her daughter, was very self-conscious, didn't love herself, and my job was to really build her up, bring her out of her shell, make her love herself. And I used to talk to her mum about my dreams of helping kids and helping people live a better life and having no anxiety because of the exercise and all of this. And she introduced me to the world of seminars. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what is this? I went to a seminar. My first seminar was the National Achievers Congress, and the headline people was Donald Trump. I know you guys probably hate Donald Trump, but he was the best speaker by far out of all of them, and this was way before he was political. Robert Kiyosaki, which he wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I will link in my show notes. You will absolutely love that book. It will just take you out of this working mindset, which you are working, but it's a different mindset. Harv Eker, which was, I read his book called The Millionaire Mind. Again, another book that you need to read. And the good old Tony Robbins. These guys were the headliners, and it was incredible. If you're going to change your life in one weekend, God, you're going to do it in that session. Oh my goodness, like, wow. Anyway, so after those 3 days, I tell my boyfriend, which is my husband right now, Ben, hey babe, I think I want to quit university and start my own business, and I want to spend $10,000 on this Tony Robbins weekend. What do you think? And he was like, are you fucking serious? I'm like, he's like, you're gonna be broke just like one of his girlfriends was like 60 grand in debt because she bought all these designer handbags. She just had her boobs done. She was just had all this debt with just all these like vanity things. And I'm like, I want to invest in a program. I'm studying business at the moment. So I ended up getting into that business management course and that university course. And I was studying uni with these douchebags that never worked in business before. And it was a business degree with a major in sports management. So I was learning like economics, accounting, all these business things. And I was like, I'm not learning anything about business, and I get to learn from like Tony Robbins, which has a multi-million-dollar, and I could just do his course and start my own business. Like, why would I go to uni, spend all this time, and then get a degree and then have to get a job? I mean, I can leverage my time, Ben, because I'd learned all this stuff from this seminar, and then I started downloading all these audiobooks and listening to all these books and reading all these books about leveraging your time and creating a business that works for you, not the other way around. And I was like, I'm not doing this, and I'm not learning from people that have never been in business. And I remember him going, just finish your exams and then you can defer. I'm like, I'm not deferring. And I was like, fine, I'll do my exams. Anyway, in this economics exam, and I'm like, fuck off, I'm not doing this. So I literally walked out halfway through because it was just so confusing. I'm like, how is this even relevant to starting a business? So I ended up leaving, and I never spoke to them about cancelling. I don't even know what's happened to my deacon degree. But anyway, that's something we'll deal with. I think I've paid it off. But anyway, so that's how I basically decided that I was going to be in business. And I looked at the first part about what I'm trying to talk to you about is you don't need to be educated, quote unquote, with a degree or a certification to start a business. Like, you can literally start a fucking pressure washing business tomorrow if you like being outside and you love pressure washing. And then you can scale it by getting more pressure washers and taking a cut. Like, this is the thing, like, you can do anything and create anything. And that's what I love about business, is that anyone can do it. So that's the first thing. Like, I quit my university degree to start my business, and I was making multi-six figures before the time my friends finished their degree. It was like a dream come true. I just want to get that really clear. Number two, the thing is, I wouldn't recommend you cancelling degrees or anything like that until you really assess the lifestyle that you want. So in these seminars, they were teaching us to dream big, create the life of your dreams, that you can have anything you want. You just have to brainwash yourself. Literally wash the shit that you've been programmed and wash it up, and stop thinking the way that you're thinking and think the way that a successful person thinks. Because they say success leaves clues. Like, why are these successful people that have come from the same background as me super fucking successful, multi-million-dollar businesses, and they hardly even work? They live and they travel and they do the best that they can, and they're fulfilled in their family. They have time for their family. They hire people to do the thing that they don't want to do. So it was when I realized the life that I truly wanted. And one of the things that a lot of people couldn't believe when I had my son Leo, which I was 25 when I found out that I was pregnant, is that one of my major things, and this is why I've changed my life so much, is that I wanted to be a mum. It was the most important thing to me. Like, I was like, okay, well, if I'm a mum one day, like, do I want to be stressed with money? Like, I grew up with my mum being a stay-at-home mum, and I was not having things, and her always saying, oh, we can't afford this and we can't afford that. Like, Do I want that lifestyle? No. But do I want to be there for my kids? Yes. Do I want to be able to support them, show them a real role model that looks after her health, that created a business that she was truly passionate about? And because she did that, she made fuckloads of money along the way. Like, and do I want to be tied down to a 9 to 5 job? No, which is one of the major reasons why I quit my job, like my uni. It was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to be working 9 to 5. Although working in a business, a lot of the time, sometimes you're working longer hours, but you'll be fueled from your heart because you know that this is going to make your dream a reality. And that's what I love the most. So the first thing is, remember, you don't need to be educated. You don't need any qualification to start your business at all. Like, you can delegate a lot of that. Say if you want to create like a nutrition hub or a doctor's surgery, you don't even need to be a doctor to do that. You can hire doctors to do that. Like, it's just about thinking differently. You can hire people to do things and create a really great partnership. If you have the vision, you can do it. So, do you want, what type of life do you want? Do you want to create a life where you can go to work or not go to work whenever the F you want? You can wake up whenever you want. You can go to sleep whenever you want. Like, this is like where you've got to really start digging in. And when you're thinking about your business, so one of the reasons why I stayed with the personal training as my business was when I worked out the lifestyle I wanted. I was like, actually, you know what? Like, at the moment, at the time, I was working in the morning from 5 till 10. I'd go to university from, about 11 till about 4. And then from 5, I would train people again till about 10. I was pretty exhausted. I was probably making like $200 in the morning, $200 at night. And then I realized, wow, how am I going to scale this? I'm just going to get more people in my classes, get them to pay less. And then I started getting paid $200 an hour instead of $50 an hour and $100 an hour. Then I started getting paid $500 an hour because and then I started getting other trainers and have other locations with my boot camp. And all of a sudden I was making thousands of dollars without me having to do all the work. And I was making so much more money when I looked at the business model and thinking, is this scalable? Is it worth it as well? So that's something that you need to think about when you're starting a business. So it's like, Jim's mowing. Is it just going to be me? Or am I going to buy 10 gym mowings and I can get other people doing the jobs? It's really just about working out, is what I'm doing scalable? The thing is, with all of that, like, you've got to enjoy doing it. Like, I enjoyed helping people. I loved running boot camps, and I actually still do, because it just makes me feel alive, and I love helping people, and I love pushing people, and I love being active. And I find that being active, like helping people be active, creates a lot more accountability for myself. So I love that. So really ask yourself, will you enjoy doing it? And the biggest thing and the most important thing is that, will the business cover you when you can't be there? Now, part of my story, which I'll go into on another day because I've got to go pick up my kids from school, but I want you to feel into, if I create this business, will it actually cover my ass if I can't be there? So, for example, if you want to go on a holiday, is the business reliant on you? So one of the things that I learned, especially in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book by Robert Kiyosaki, was, make the business work for you. Like, if you're not there, does the business die? Does it, and a lot of people, I would say, their business does die if they're not there. And I mean, look, your presence always has to be there. It's your business and you're the leader of the business, but you don't necessarily need to be there. Now, I found out that I had thyroid cancer at the same time as becoming a new mum. So becoming a new mum, being on maternity leave, then finding out that I had cancer, extended my maternity leave for probably about a year. And I was so lucky that, because I was so invested in creating a business and a life that fucking gave me freedom, I had the freedom to actually heal. And we ended up moving to Queensland in the process. After a year of kind of all the treatments and all of the things, we ended up moving, when my son was 2, to the Sunshine Coast, away from our business. And we ran that business for over 2 years without me having to step foot and take one class. So is your business right now, or is the business you're thinking about, is it going to be set up to support you if you cannot be there? So this is the first podcast. This is me kind of sharing that anyone really can have a business. Like, it can be anything. Like, it literally could be you making juices and then getting someone to make the juices with you and then distributing the juices. Like, it's literally, you can do anything. And the biggest thing that I would say when it comes to doing anything is it's got to be something that lights you up. Like I said, about you need to enjoy it. So with all of that said, I hope that this episode has got you to know me a little bit more and my drive between why I want to do the things that I want to do and how I got my business to a point that was making multi-six figures without me having to step foot once in my brick and mortar business. It was so powerful, especially it gave me an opportunity to heal. Like, the biggest reason why I want to help so many people create a business or a life or an investment portfolio or anything that's going to create more revenue and more financial freedom is because I had to spend over $30,000 within 3 months. Like, I didn't have to. Didn't have to do all the healing stuff that I did, but I wanted to. I wanted to make sure that every I was dotted and we didn't even suffer. Like, for some families paying $30,000. And if it was now, like, after a couple of years of not working and having to go into our savings, I would be really hesitant to have to pay $30,000 straight up off the bat to heal me in 3 months. But we did it, and we did it without a flutter of the eye. And I want to help you guys and inspire you to create the life that you want that's going to give you that financial freedom that means that you can weather any storm. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you got to know me well, and I look forward to our next episode together.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Belinda Carusi Show. If you love this episode as much as I did, head over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week on Fridays. I can't wait to hang out with you again.